Welcome to Quiet Money, a space to slow down, to think deeply about money, time, and the way we live. Here, we don't chase noise, we listen, we reflect, and we learn how wealth really works, quietly, patiently, intentionally. So take a moment to breathe. Let this video play in the background, on your TV, your headphones, or while you rest, because the answers you seek about money rarely come from noise, they come from calm and stillness. Let's begin. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk the least about money often have the most of it? They don't flash it, they don't announce it, they simply live, calmly, deliberately, almost invisibly. Meanwhile, the loudest voices often belong to those still chasing wealth, reaching for validation, proof, or attention. It's strange, isn't it? We live in a time where success has become a performance, where luxury is broadcast, and every purchase is content. And yet, true wealth, the kind that lasts, seems to move in silence. Why is that? Why does real abundance prefer calm over noise? This is the quiet psychology of wealth, an understanding that money, when mastered, stops needing to be seen. To understand why true wealth is quiet, we have to look at what money really represents. For most people, money is not just currency, it's communication, a way to signal status, success, or identity. That's why new money is often loud. It needs to prove itself, it wants to be recognized. But as wealth matures, it evolves. It becomes less about what others see, and more about how you feel. When people first come into money, there's a natural impulse to display it, to show the world, I've made it, and that's understandable. For generations, wealth was tied to survival and social rank, but quiet wealth, the kind that endures, doesn't need validation. It seeks privacy, peace, and freedom. It trades visibility for control and applause for autonomy, because once you understand the real purpose of money, you stop using it to impress others and start using it to improve your life. True wealth moves quietly because it's built on principles that require patience, habits that compound slowly, out of sight. The loud kind of wealth, the one that demands attention, is usually fragile. It depends on perception. It's borrowed confidence, but the quiet kind, it's real. It's built on ownership, not appearances. It's about assets that work while you sleep. About decisions guided by logic, not ego. Consider the difference between a spender and an investor. The spender looks rich, designer clothes, luxury cars, the right zip code, but the investor becomes rich, one steady decision at a time, often unnoticed. There's a reason the wealthiest people in the world rarely broadcast their success. Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest home he bought in the 1950s. Many self-made millionaires drive ordinary cars and wear simple watches, not because they can't afford extravagance, but because they no longer need it. Wealth, at its highest form, stops being external. It becomes internal. It's no longer about how much you own, but how little you need. No longer about how others see you, but how peaceful you feel. Quiet wealth is slow wealth. It's the compound effect of good habits, repeated over years. It's the ability to stay calm when others panic. It's choosing time over status, freedom over fame. And the beautiful thing about it, it doesn't demand attention, yet it commands respect. There's a deep human reason why true wealth is quiet. It's because silence is the language of mastery. Think about it. The ocean doesn't need to announce its depth. The mountains don't shout about their height. Their presence speaks for them. Quiet wealth works the same way. When your financial life is stable, you stop needing to prove anything. You no longer buy to impress, you buy for comfort. You don't compete, you collaborate. You don't rush, because time finally belongs to you. Noise comes from insecurity. When people are unsure of their position, they seek validation. When they're secure, they seek peace. And that peace, that quiet satisfaction, is the ultimate luxury. It's waking up knowing your bills are paid. It's walking through the world without needing to perform. It's having the freedom to choose how you spend your time, and with whom. True wealth whispers. It doesn't need to be heard to be felt. Because when money becomes a tool for meaning instead of an identity, silence becomes the loudest statement you can make. Imagine two musicians. The first plays to impress the crowd, fast, loud, dramatic. The second plays slowly, each note intentional, each pause meaningful. The first gets applause. The second creates stillness. Quiet wealth is that second musician. It's deliberate, measured, at peace with the rhythm of time. Loud wealth is performance. It seeks attention. Quiet wealth is composition. It seeks harmony. And harmony, unlike applause, lasts long after the music fades. If you ever feel behind in the race for success, remember this: wealth is not about how much noise you can make. It's about how much noise you can live without. The loud life is exhausting, constantly maintaining appearances, chasing approval, staying visible. The quiet life is sustainable, rooted in contentment, purpose, and choice. You don't need to escape ambition to live quietly. You simply need to refine it. Let your money work quietly in the background while you focus on what matters in the foreground: your health, your peace, your time, because true wealth doesn't need a spotlight. It thrives in stillness, where value accumulates quietly, moment by moment. And in that stillness, you start to notice what money can't buy: clarity, simplicity, and calm. True wealth is quiet because it doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't rely on presentation or performance. It exists the way a deep lake exists, still on the surface, powerful beneath. When someone reaches a certain level of stability, something interesting happens. Their relationship with money becomes less emotional. They no longer feel the urge to prove anything. Their self-worth is no longer tied to the weight of their wallet. Most noise around money comes from insecurity. People show off when they don't feel enough. They boast when they fear being overlooked. They spend loudly because silence feels too revealing. But quiet wealth is built on internal certainty, a certainty that was earned slowly, through discipline, through mistakes, through patient refinement. It doesn't need validation, because the person holding it has already validated themselves. The quiet, wealthy move differently. They observe more than they declare. They listen more than they interrupt. They let their life, not their lifestyle, speak for them. And ironically, this quiet confidence makes them far more stable, because when money isn't tied to ego, it becomes easier to protect. When wealth isn't used as decoration, it becomes easier to grow. Think of the oak tree compared to a firework. The firework is brilliant for a moment, loud, impossible to ignore, and then it's gone. All light, no roots. But the oak, it grows quietly. It invests its energy downward, into the soil, long before anyone sees the branches. Its strength is invisible at first, but undeniable later. Quiet wealth builds roots. Loud wealth builds illusions. Quiet wealth buys assets. Loud wealth buys applause. Quiet wealth plays the long game. Loud wealth plays the highlight reel. And beneath all of this is a deeper truth. The wealthiest people in the world understand that peace is the highest form of profit. Money can buy comfort, yes. It can expand options, yes. But peace is earned through wisdom, intention, and maturity. This is why the quiet wealthy prioritize time, not the chasing of tasks, but the freedom from them. They seek long mornings, unrushed decisions, days with room to breathe, because once you experience these forms of wealth, you realize they are worth far more than the noise of status. Quiet wealth often shows up in ways that are almost invisible. A paid-off house, a calendar with space instead of obligations, an investment account that grows quietly in the background. Simple possessions that last for decades. A lifestyle built around intention, not impulse. These things don't attract attention, and that is exactly why they are valuable. Quiet wealth understands that the goal is not to look rich, but to live rich, to live in a way that feels grounded, unpressured, peaceful, to have enough margin in your life that a single unexpected expense doesn't break you, to have enough clarity that you don't chase every shiny opportunity out of panic. When wealth becomes quiet, it becomes sustainable, because quiet spending is thoughtful spending. Quiet investing is consistent investing. Quiet growth is lasting growth. The loudest parts of wealth are often the most fragile. The car that loses value, the status signals that fade, the luxury items that impress for a moment but add nothing to your future. Quiet wealth looks in the opposite direction. It asks, what builds stability? What builds freedom? What builds a life I can sustain emotionally, not just financially? These questions are not dramatic. There's no rush, no hype, just clarity. And clarity is one of the rarest forms of wealth. When you understand this, you begin to see something important. Quiet wealth is not just about money, it is a reflection of inner quiet. A calm mind creates a calm plan. A calm plan creates consistent habits. Consistent habits create lasting wealth. It all begins inside. Loud wealth tries to fill the internal emptiness with external symbols. Quiet wealth fills the internal space first, so the outside becomes simple. This is why true wealth doesn't look like luxury. It looks like balance. It looks like not needing to impress. It looks like having options, not obligations. It looks like a life that finally matches your values. Quiet wealth is not the absence of abundance. It is abundance with nothing left to prove. So why is true wealth quiet? Because it doesn't need to prove itself. Because peace has more value than attention. And because the loud pursuit of success often drowns out the quiet feeling of contentment. In the end, the richest life is not the one filled with things, but the one filled with time. Not the one that looks successful, but the one that feels peaceful. True wealth is the absence of financial noise, the ability to live freely without the pressure to display or defend your worth. It's the gentle calm that comes when you realize you no longer need to chase, because real wealth doesn't shout, it doesn't sparkle, it doesn't demand, it simply is. And that silence, that calm, confident stillness, is what makes it powerful. If this video gave you something to think about, share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you discover about yourself and your relationship with money today? This space is meant for calm reflection. A community of people who prefer wisdom over noise. So feel free to keep this playing in the background whenever you want to learn something new, quietly. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy calm reflections about wealth, subscribe for more. And remember, true wealth isn't loud, it's built in silence.